Well, hey, Fabulous. Do you want to find out, does marriage really combine your income by default? Stay tuned. Well, hello, my Fabulous Peeps. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back to Paradise. I am Teacher Melanie, and I talk about everything as it relates to the womb to the tomb. And so today I want to talk about, does marriage combine your income, right, as well as your credit? Does that happen by default? And what does that mean for you if you are preparing to get married, if you're already married and you've seen a couple of things and you're like, oh, did I make a right decision? Or what types of things needs to be combined? And so I want to talk about that. So make sure you go ahead and stay all the way to the end, because I want to really get into the nitty-gritty of things as relates to marriage and money. All right, so let's get into it. So with that being said, one thing I realized is that being married for over 25 years, well, actually it's 25 years this year. Being married 25 years, there's some things that I learned that I wish I knew before I got into it. And so in my mind, I automatically thought that a lot of our resources and everything was going to be combined or counted as one. In some instances, it was. And so let me just kind of share different instances. Well, first and foremost, I want to address this thing. We think that getting married, that we need to combine all of our income and our assets together and everything else. And we know what the Word of God says, that the two becomes one. Where there are times where you do not necessarily have to do that. And there are times it might not be a good fit for you and your spouse. There is no one size fits all whatsoever. You really have to do what's going to be best for you and your spouse and how that looks. So it might be where you may have an account, your husband has one, you have one, and then there's a combined one. Or it may be where, okay, his money does this, my money does this, and then we kind of have something where we put together for other little things. Whatever way works for you. Or it can be, I'm the person that pays the bills, write the checks, whatever the case may be. He just says, okay, here's the money, this is what you're going to do, or vice versa. One thing I want you to realize, that it doesn't matter who brings the money, okay, and who is the primary breadwinner. I want you to understand, but both partners are equal. Each of you had some type of value to the table. And if you and your spouse kind of gets intimidated, well, maybe the husband makes more money, and so you feel as though you don't have any freedom. He's going to tell you what to do, how to do. Or if your wife makes more money and you feel as though I'm being demasculated, I don't feel like I'm being a man because she makes more money. Let me say this. There was a time where I was making more money than my husband, and I never felt as though I was the one that needed to be controlled, because at the end of the day, money does not define a relationship, and it does not define a person, because money is a tool. Now, there's time where my husband makes more money than me. There was a time of that. And guess what? It's okay, because at the end of the day, we are in this journey together. That's the most important thing that you have to recognize in your relationship, is that both of you are one. And that's what the Word of God talks about, that the two shall become one. Now, there are some things that you might not necessarily agree on, and that's why in my previous video I talk about the importance of having an open communication and being honest. And sometimes at the beginning it is uncomfortable, or you may feel like, well, no, I'm feeling attacked, or that you have more experience as it relates to money. Listen, both of you are coming from two different backgrounds, two different experiences, as now you're coming together on one accord. And let me tell you something, when you get on that page of working together on one accord, creating plans, making some compromises, the sky is the limit. And you will be so surprised at what God does when you come together. And I'm talking to you from the experience, because there was a time, some of the money issues, that I wasn't on page with my husband at first. And it took me a while. And since I was the one that was writing the bills and doing all the things that it came to money, if he would question me about some things, I would be a bit offensive. But then he made a comment. He says, I don't want you to think that I'm trying to demoralize you or make you feel like you don't know what you're doing. I just want to know that we are working together on the same page. And when he said it, in a way that wasn't, I felt attacked, I was fine. Because if I felt attacked, let me tell you something, we was gonna buck heads, okay? But I didn't feel attacked. He really said it in a way that felt, okay, I understand, I get it now. And so once we come in the same page, we were able to pay off our student loan debt in 3 months. By the way, it was my student loan debt because he didn't have a college degree. We were able to pay off our mortgage because we were on one accord. So let me tell you something. Oneness brings prosperity, brings peace. Okay? And so when it comes to if things are combined default, they're combined in some instances. Okay, so for example, you may decide to file for your taxes, but it might not be in the best interest of how your family is structured to file jointly. It might be best for you to file separately. Okay, it might be better, and that's something that you have to have a conversation with your tax preparer as well as your accountant. What's going to be the best fit? Okay. The other thing too is credit. If you're buying a house, it could be where your spouse, your husband or your wife may have the better credit, but you're not showing the income, where you're not included, but you're going to be on the deed. That's where, or both of you are on the mortgage together to qualify, if that's what you need to be able to qualify with it. Okay, so that's where it needs to be together. There are times where you may have different credits, right? Your credit is causing you issues, maybe from one spouse or the other spouse or both. And now you need to be here for, okay, whose credit is the stronger and what things need to be worked on with the other spouse. Or it can be like, okay, so you need to work on your credit so we can be able to do this. And that's just one person instead of both the things. So all of that has to be considered. Credit, buying big purchases, a home, your taxes. As I said, all that depends on the structure of your finances, on the structure of the income that's coming in, right? And how you are going to treat each other with respect when it comes to coming to an agreement that's going to be beneficial for both of you. And also, if one is not working, maybe the wife is not working, but the husband is, or vice versa. Yes, there are some husbands that are stay-at-home dad, and this day and date is not something that is unusual, right? There's an agreement that a wife has come to for one reason or the other, and it's okay. At the end of the day, you have to do what's going to work for you and your family. And so back to the question, is it by default that when you get married that your money comes together? It is not by default whatsoever. It all depends on what is going to be a best fit for you and your family, let me tell you. And so I hope this was informational and just encouraging as it relates to your finances and how that needs to look for you and your family, for you and your spouse, as whether you have been in this for a while or you're just starting out or you're preparing. These are some things for you to start talking about as it relates to the structure of your finances and how it's going to be a good fit that's going to bring peace, harmony, and unity in the family. All right. So if that be the case and you need a little guidance and just like another extra ear, below you will see my link. I do offer a complimentary 15 minutes. I am a licensed financial rep, and I do everything from the womb to the tomb. And I know sometimes it's good to have somebody on the outside to just kind of give you some insight, and also to make sure that your financial house is built right and tight in the process as well. Why not just to make sure that you're creating a win-win situation that truly you don't end up in divorce court because we don't need any more divorces. It can work if you work it together, let me tell you. And I'm telling you from experience of having different challenges, even in my relationship, right? It's never something that happens all the time, but there are times where we have a saying that teeth and tongue will meet. Okay, teeth and tongue will meet. But when it meets, how can we get past that so we're able to move on together and really create the life that we so desire together in oneness, in unity in the process? So with that being said, you see my link below where you can go on my calendar, or maybe you just want to go and just download my complimentary checklist as relates to financial life resilience, because I understand that when life happens, in how do you keep going on, keep moving forward when you've experienced loss, when you've experienced hardship? How do you keep going, moving forward with life's challenges when life is laughing, right? You know the story. All right, my fabulous peeps. So I'm so glad that you stayed to the end. Make sure you look at my links below. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. Make sure you give it a thumbs up and also subscribe. It does help my channel very much. I truly appreciate any support that you're able to give in the process, and love to connect with you. So I want you to comment below and let me know if you and your spouse combine it or you do things separately, and if it's working, or what's something that you think that you should do differently. But making also some insight for you. All right, so make sure you comment below. Glad that you are here. Glad that you stayed all the way to the end. Let's connect, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. And like I always say, remember to pray, plan, and believe, because God is still in the business of doing miracles. Make it a great day. Bye, fabulous.